Today, I want to help you decipher your medical bills and understand exactly what to pay. It can be so confusing getting bill after bill, statement after statement from your insurance company, bills from your ambulance company, bills from your doctor's office, bills from the lab, multiple copies of it. Everyone seems different. Which is the right thing to pay, and when do you pay it? Are you going to go to collections? Millions of questions come up. So we're going to go through this article together that I came across my desk today and talk about what it's saying in the article and how you can apply it right now in a medical billing situation. So let's get into it. This is not a bill. How to decipher explanations of benefits and pay for medical care. That's the title of this article. This is not a bill is written across an EOB, which is called an explanation of benefits. And this is a legal term that insurance companies use to state that this is what our plan covers and this is your responsibility. It also documents the fact that your claim has been received by the insurance company and that the insurance company has paid out on that claim. It'll show you exactly what your copay is, your deductible, your coinsurance, your max out of pocket, and what you owe on that date of service with that provider. Now, keep in mind, you may have multiple providers. A provider in insurance terms is defined as your medical professional or your healthcare professional. So that would be your doctor, ambulance, lab, x-ray, hospital, and so on. Those are all providers in insurance speak. So keep that in mind as we go through this. From huge charges and enormous discounts to reason codes for insurance coverage denials, perplexing paperwork is a common side effect with healthcare. Bobby Putman Bailey knows how to solve problems when it comes to medical bills and health insurance. In one instance, upon the surprise realization her specialist doctor had gone out of network for her health plan, the 42-year-old Maple Grove resident convinced her insurer to overturn coverage denials that could have cost her hundreds of dollars. The key, Putman Bailey said, was to write an appeal that was long on details, while also agreeing to eventually switch to an in-network doctor. Just not immediately, since she was beginning a new treatment at that time. In another case, she wrangled with a specialty pharmacy to prevent billing for a shipment of the wrong medication to her house. It helped. Putman Bailey said that she was prompt in calling to report the problem and already had talked with the pharmacy several times about ambiguities with its online ordering. For customers, the first step in all of this, such disputes, is to stay on top of billing documents, Putman advised, and ask questions as soon as possible. She recognizes, of course, this can be easier. Yes, I completely agree. It is so hard when you're in the middle of a treatment, especially cancer or something that is draining, like surgery or the two in conjunction. I have worked with several people over the years that are in these situations, and it is extremely hard to have the energy to even go to the mailbox and open the bills. So as soon as those bills come in, what we ask of our clients is that they send those to us if they have any questions about their billing. She says, it sucks because you're sick and you're chronically ill. And there are even days when you don't have the energy to get up and look at things. She said, she says she has Crohn's disease. But if you wait until things show up in your mailbox, it's almost too late. Getting sick in the U.S. healthcare system can trigger an avalanche of confusing paperwork. Plus, those documents proclaiming this is not a bill from your insurance company to help prevent the illness from spreading to your bank account. So it's just very confusing. It's not an intuitive market. There are lingo and language that is used in health insurance that is not used in other areas of our lives. and we may interpret things incorrectly based off of other definitions we have in our mind or other assumptions about the coverage in our minds. Understanding the difference between a bill and an EOB is very important. Bills versus EOBs. Two types of documents typically arrive in the patient's mailbox and or online portal after receiving healthcare services. One is a medical bill from your doctor's office or health system. The second is an explanation of benefits, or EOB, from your insurance carrier. The insurance document, called an EOB, often arrives first. This isn't my experience. My experience is that many doctor's offices, right when they see you, they send out a bill for the full amount. They send out a bill to you and to your insurance company at the same time. Often patients get a bill in the full amount, which scares them. Then they get an EOB, and then they get a revised bill from their doctor's office. That's just my experience, but insurance document called an EOB often arrives first. It reflects the health plan's evaluation of the service received, including the amount of insurance coverage for the service. According to Minnesota Council of Health Plans, a trade group for nonprofit insurance carriers in the state, typically list the provider's charge for a service. They also show the negotiated price the insurance company and provider agreed to. So when you are going to a contracted or in-network doctor, that means you're going to a doctor that has a contract with your insurance company, and they have agreed to a set of terms prior to you even stepping foot into that doctor's office. That doctor has already agreed to only charge a certain amount for that visit and for all the services that they offer, and it's usually at a discount. So that's what those discounted rates are, or the negotiated rate is when you're looking at your EOB. EOB typically lists the provider charge for service. They also show the negotiated price the insurance company and provider agreed to, and then the form shows how the negotiated cost will split between the insurer and the patient. List how much your deductible is, how much was applied, how much is remaining of your deductible for the year, what your co-insurance is, the percentage amount that you are responsible for paying after the deductible, and what the insurance company is covering after that deductible, if any. It'll also list your max out of pocket, which is the maximum amount that you are committed to paying in the calendar year. And it will also list your responsibility, which is the amount that you owe that particular doctor. Now, if you've gone to the hospital, let's say, you may get several EOBs. You're going to get one for each and every provider, even though the date of service, even though the date that you went in to seek treatment is all the same. There are going to be multiple EOBs because there's one for each and every provider. There may be one for an ambulance company, one for the hospital, one for the doctor that treated you, one for the radiology department, and so on. Insurers typically describe this split as cost sharing, which factors in deductibles and coinsurance that are key for patients to understand when shopping for a health plan. If there is a remaining bill, the doctor's office directly sends your bill for the remaining amount. If the amount on the bill you receive from your doctor's office does not match your EOB, the first step is to call the clinic or the doctor's office to see if they have an updated bill to reflect the payment from your insurance company. This is great. Often notice on an EOB the contrast between the healthcare provider's charge and the negotiated payment rate, because the discounts can be very large. You can see them allow only 10% of the charge sometimes, said Bill, an insurance advocate and volunteer leader for Cancer Legal Care, a nonprofit group in Oakdale. The spread can be tremendous. The difference can be tremendous. Once the bill comes from the doctor's office or health system, the patient should compare the amount due with the EOB to make sure they agree on the patient's financial responsibility. When they don't match, the patient should call the healthcare provider and or the insurance company. Typically, your medical bill should not be more than what your explanation of benefits shows. Starting October 1st, a new state law goes into effect that lets patients request a review from the insurance carrier provider to check the accuracy of the medical codes used in their billing. The law prohibits providers from making further collection efforts during this process, which accumulates in a notice sent to patients within 30 days of the review's completion. Not every state does this. It is something that your broker can do. If you work with a broker like me, your broker should be able to look at your claims and let you know whether or not they've been paid correctly, or at least explain why you owe a certain amount and what the final amount is that you owe according to the insurance company. A medical provider will always provide provider notice about whether the coding was accurate. The president of the Financial Policy and Analysis at Minnesota Hospital Association said, comparing EOBs and medical bills can be difficult when healthcare providers practice global billing and roll all charges into one final bill, said Eric Ellsworth. I agree. It can be extremely complicated for a patient who is not responsible with medical billing to look at this large dollar amount when things are not broken out. However, if that bill is not clear to you, you can ask for a revised bill or an invoice for each and every date of service, which I often recommend. Comparing EOBs and medical bills can be difficult, especially when there's global billing. The strategy at Consumers Checkbook Health said, he's a part of the Hospital Association. He notes that patients can always ask for a more detailed bill from their healthcare denials and codes. Consumer advocates say patients in many ways are better off relying on their online portals for billing documents rather than paper statements that arrive in the mail. We have found that when you go online and download the most recent EOB, that is going to be the most accurate, because insurance companies may reprocess the same claim several times. For example, let's say you go to the doctor and they submit a claim. That original claim is denied, and the insurance company tells them why it's denied and what additional information is needed to process that claim. Billing office will submit the information they're requesting, and the claim will be paid. So the first EOB you get in the mail may say that the insurance company paid $0, which will give you a heart attack. Of course, I'm joking, but customer advocates say patients in many ways are better off relying on their online portals for billing documents rather than paper statements. That's because a health insurer's decision on whether or not to pay or deny a claim can change as more information becomes available. Fully recommends, in fact, patients compare the bills they receive in the mail to the online version to see if that one is the most current. When there's a balance due, the key is why. It is because insurance hasn't adjudicated your claim yet? Is it because you have a legitimate out-of-pocket expense? Is it due to a denial? These are all very important questions. I completely agree. And this is one of the reasons why we ask our clients and their employees to send us everything they receive in the mail about a claim that is in question, so that we can decipher and ask these exact questions. There are several types of denials, Ellsworth said. Some services aren't a covered benefit, he added, pointing to in vitro fertilization as an example in hundreds of health plans. Sometimes there's a limitation patients might not have anticipated, such as when an insurer will pay for cataract surgery, but not some multifocal lenses. Insurers might deny a claim because the health plan deems the service not medically necessary. Some denials result in financial responsibility for patients, Ellsworth said, while others create a financial risk for the health care provider. The Minnesota Council of Health Plans said insurers list on the EOB a reason code to explain the reason for the claim's denial. Reasons can vary from services being out of network to a lack of prior authorization from a health plan. It is not clear exactly how often denials happen across all types of insurance, but consumer advocates say appeals are few and far between. They worry the process of filing appeals is just too confusing or difficult. And this is exactly why we help our clients in these processes and advise them along the way. To appeal a denied claim, patients must navigate the language of medical coding, which is how healthcare providers and health insurers communicate about the services provided. Patients can then use the codes and descriptions to determine whether the insurer processed the claims correctly according to their plan's benefits. And also if the codes are correct, if you agree with the codes that were used. The insurance company and I've come across this before where I dig into a claim with a client and find out that the codes are wrong. According to what the patient is telling me, in my opinion, it seems that the codes don't match the procedure that you received. And I'm sorry, there's really not a whole lot I can do other than help you write a letter. Again, I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice, but can help you write a letter to your doctor's office and request a recoding, or state this is what happened in the doctor's office, or having us help you ghost author a letter, or going to an attorney to ghost author a letter if you feel uncomfortable speaking with the doctor's office or the billing office directly and doing it that way. If there's a balance due that you're questioning, then it's really important to know those codes. We've set up this system where all these claims are handled by computers now instead of people, so the codes are really key. That's the magic. When facing big bills for out-of-network care, patients should explore whether the federal No Surprises Act provides any help. And advocates say rather than trying to navigate all this alone, patients should seek help from a friend, family member, or even government agencies. I would say seek assistance from your broker, or find a broker that has an advocacy service is definitely a better option than all three of these. Brokers have more of an understanding as to how your claim should be paid, what was sold at the time of the purchase of the policy, if that intent of the plan aligns with what you're experiencing on the claim side. One of the things that I tell my clients is our job is to make sure that your plan is working the way it's supposed to. We are here to make sure that you're getting what you paid for. I can't wave a magic wand and make the insurance company pay a claim that isn't covered by the policy, or magically make your deductible go away. That's not what advocacy service does. At the root of it, advocacy service is there for the employees so that they can continue in a difficult situation and focus on their job, focus on their family as much as possible, and have some relief in the claims area. For example, imagine that you or your spouse are diagnosed with cancer, and you go through all of the diagnoses, all of the MRIs, meet with surgeons. It's doctor's office after doctor's office, lab after lab, radiation, and so on. At some point, you will be flooded with bills and EOBs. And I've had not that exact example, but me personally, when something is for you or for someone you love, your brain shuts off. It's like you can't read it. Even though a person is extremely intelligent, they're good at math, they understand the plan, when it's an emotional situation, it is so difficult to go through that and make those phone calls and make sure that claims are paid correctly. What we do in our office, and what many advocacy teams do across the country, is if a member is getting all these bills in the mail, what we ask is that they consolidate all of those, scan them, and send them into our office so that we can review and let them know which providers they need to pay how much and why, and if our claim's still in processing. When do they expect to get out of processing? When will the claims be completed? When will they be paid? Answering some very basic information. Yes, there's some more complicated cases that come up, out of the country claims, can be pretty fun and pretty intricate. miscommunications between the doctors and the patients, appeals, grievances, and so on. Yes, we can get into the nitty-gritty, but most of the time, advocacy is when getting a bunch of bills you don't understand, you're in an emotional state, having a hard time going through all of these bills and understanding exactly which way is up. That's what some advocates refer to a book called Never Pay the First Bill when talking about how consumers should think about questionable medical bills. Patients often want to pay promptly, Foley said, either because they've received good care or from fear of being sent to collections and suffering credit score dings. Those are good instincts in most cases, Foley said, yet there are times when he advises consumers to let everything play out for a bit before making a payment. We often ask employees and policyholders to hold off for about 30 days to allow the claim system to run through all of their medical bills prior to paying the bill. The key is just keep the provider in the loop. Let them know that you are aware that you've been sent a balance due statement, but that you are still working through the details of it, he said. Make sure you are staying in contact with your provider and telling them, hey, I'm not trying to duck the bill. That's really the important thing. Putman Bailey, the patient from Maple Grove, said to be suspicious of any medical paperwork is delayed since that can be a sign of trouble. Minnesota Medical Association said providers must submit claims to insurance companies within 6 months of the date of service, although most are quicker. The article goes on, the Minnesota Medical Association said providers must submit claims to insurance companies within 6 months of the date of service, although most are quicker. So we've talked about this before. There is a claims lag. We talked about that in another video. And this is the other side of the claims lag. So in a self-insured situation, an employer that is self-insured or an insurance company that's using reinsurance knows that they've got 6 to 12 months to pay on a claim, or the patient or the member or the person with the insurance policy has 6 to 12 months to file a claim. If they do not show that they have done their due diligence in an attempt to file a claim within 6 to 12 months, the insurance company has the right to deny that bill. So if you are working with a provider's office that has not submitted a bill to your insurance company and it's been over 6 months, that insurance company can deny the claim for untimely filing. Now, if you are using an in-network provider, you really shouldn't worry about this too much, because at the end of the day, most insurance contracts require the doctor's office, the provider's office, to keep track of all of those claims, show due diligence, and they, at the end of the day, are on the hook if they are not completing the filing within timely filing guidelines. That's 6 to 12 months for most policies. And you as the patient are not liable, nor is the insurance company. However, if you're going to an out-of-network doctor and you and your doctor have not filed that claim within 6 months, the insurance company is likely to deny it for untimely filing. Insurers generally pay claims within 30 days of receipt, the Medical Association said, and EOBs are available when claims are processed. As for phone calls, Putman Bailey said she learned the importance of recording the date of the conversation and the name of the customer service representative and the agent's phone number if possible. Another tip, when insurers assert a service is not medically necessary, Putman Bailey asks to talk with the physician who made that decision. Insurance companies have doctors on staff, they have nurses on staff, and if a claim is submitted and the diagnosis isn't matching up in accordance with the procedure code, the way that the insurance company wants to see it, or they can argue that it is not medically necessary, that will be reviewed by a nurse or a physician or a board of decision makers that make those decisions ahead of time at the insurance company and send out a denial. At that point, the doctor's office can ask for a peer-to-peer review with the insurance company, meaning that your doctor's office can speak with the medical professionals at the insurance company and state why those services are medically necessary, and more information may need to be submitted from your doctor's office to the insurance company to get that covered. The process can feel adversarial and is often emotional, she said, but she always tries to stress how it's not personal. I usually am saying to the person on the phone, this is not about you, she said. This is about the system. It's about knowing the process, being empowered throughout that process, and if possible, having an advocate on your side to guide you through these processes and help you get the information that is needed to get the claims covered from your doctor's office to the insurance company. And again, if you can get an advocacy service, work with your broker, work with your employer, work with your insurance company, work with your doctor's office to get the claim resolved, that is the best way of going about it. So if you have any questions about my company, I do have a link down below. You can schedule a meeting with me if you're a business owner, HR professional, CFO, CEO, and so on to discuss your health benefits. And thank you for hanging out to the end. I'll see you next time.